Ilhan Omar's daughter, Isra Hersey, is one of the 3 students that got suspended for standing in solidarity with Palestinians. She is obviously a part of the Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine. That is one of the organizations that was disbanded alongside the Jewish Voice for Peace. Obviously, these were all student-led organizations, and yet Columbia disbanded them because, you know, they were fucking the bag up. For those of you who don't know, let me explain something to you, okay? When we went to the Melbourne Palestine protests, you probably saw students holding up placards that had QR codes on it, demanding that you divest. And you were like, what am I fucking divesting from? What's happening here? Those placards actually wanted schools to divest from some of these mega corporations that work alongside the Israeli state. What does divest mean? It is a demand that our universities no longer fund these corporations in the stock market. Now, the thing is, why should a university even have funds in any of these corporations like CAT, let's say, right? Well, that's because all universities, especially in the Western world, operate like fucking hedge funds. That's exactly what a university is at this day and age. Colleges literally are just basically fucking hedge funds, just woke gay hedge funds led by a dean who's more interested in continuing to add on to the overall billion-dollar endowment so you can keep making these cool investment decisions. And therefore, this line of attack is very successful. To demand your college endowments not go to companies that are supporting the Israeli apartheid regime is actually very smart business. It's a good way to demand change. Because it's a good way to demand change, to get like some kind of needle moving in the opposite, in the good direction, which is the opposite direction of the bad direction, which is the direction that we seemingly are bouldering towards every fucking day. These kinds of demands are, of course, met with by the supposedly very liberal, very tolerant, very understanding institutions such as Columbia University. How are they met with? Well, they're met with, of course, a strong and very authoritarian response. Those of us in the Gaza Solidarity encampment will not be intimidated. Now, you might not have even heard about this, but there was an encampment of students at Columbia University, standing resolute until their demands were met. Our demands include divestment from companies, complicity, transparency of Columbia's investments, and full amnesty for all students facing repression. Here's what the response looked like. Columbia University saw the students protesting and got annoyed with it and basically decided to send possibly NYPD a bunch of paddy wagons. How they were dealing with it. They were like, oh, you guys are peacefully protesting and demanding that we divest, this genocidal war machine that we are funding and facilitating. Well, guess what, dude? Guess what? Fuck you. Fuck you. You're going to fucking jail. Shut the fuck up. That's what they're doing. Now, of course, this is happened throughout American history, and those who do get arrested in situations like this are almost always on the right side of history. You know, you get a little snapshot of what this used to look like throughout history in general. I mean, there was Vietnam protests. There were Vietnam protests at Columbia, obviously, and guess what happened back then? The same exact shit that is happening now.
Do like whatever.
Just a normal response, dude. Normal response and normal reaction. Wearing fucking tactical military gear. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Yeah. Land of the free, by the way. Hey guys, this is not Vladimir Putin's Russia, okay? This is what's happening here. Is this China? Is this goddamn China? Is this Vladimir Putin's Russia? Or is this New York, one of the wokest goddamn cities in the goddamn country? Turns out America doesn't like free speech either. Oh my God, I'm shocked. Shocking. I went to Columbia, and it's honestly insane to see this, considering Ivy League schools are supposedly infested with lefties. No, of course, Columbia has always been like this. This is why I always say Ivy League institutions are fucking bullshit. They literally present themselves as aesthetic radicals, but they're just simply liberal defenders of the American military state. Yale and Harvard specifically are basically scouting grounds for the State Department. This is an operation that churns out the most war criminals per capita. Okay? It is a war criminal factory. It is the descendants of war criminals ready to do more war crimes in the fucking future. That's what these Ivy League institutions do. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that there aren't brilliant, brave, bold, awesome socialist individuals who happen to go to these schools. Of course there are. But make no mistake, the notion, and I've said this for fucking years, and it's yet another moment of vindication for me, free speech on college campuses. The one thing that I always said, the notion that college campuses are actually objectively leftist is a ridiculous one. Have you never actually fucking encountered the business school? Of course you didn't, Charlie Kirk, because you didn't go to college. But let me tell you, the notion that college campuses are all woke socialist is ridiculous, okay? It is objectively ridiculous. Most of these institutions are churning out neoliberal hegemonic propaganda. The college campuses are in the interest of creating the next professional managerial class, absolutely abides by the religious almost zealotry required to defend neoliberalism. That is what the goal is. And it's very successful in that regard. Right-wingers talking about college campuses being woke is exactly like right-wingers that live in rural bumfuck parts of Texas talking about how the big cities are riddled with heroin needles and homeless people and crime that will kill you. Why the fuck am I asking a fish what it's like to live on land, brother? You ain't ever seen it. You can't live on land, fish.